Alright, so I am going to call this meeting of Committee on Business Relations to order. All trustees are present. We have two items on the agenda this evening. Excuse me, the first discussing the continuation from last meeting where we discussed legislation against conversion therapy or the ordinance. And then the second item will be our special event policy meeting number 2. And the last meeting on that was in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Beginning with the first item of business, Rebecca, did you want me to start or how do you? Okay. So again, thanks. I recognize a lot of you from last time. Many of you are here tonight. But we are going to continue the discussion on the conversion therapy ordinance. I know last time we had discussed leaning more towards the Eau Claire ordinance, and that was just purely based on the fact that that one was recently passed, and I know a lot of the members, but on longer consideration and just our proximity to Milwaukee and the hard work that's been done so locally, and I believe that the best course of action would be to adopt an ordinance as similar to the Milwaukee one with minor modifications based on our special needs here in Shorewood. Do you want to add anything to that, Rebecca?
Just a follow-up with this group at the last meeting had also suggested that one item that would differ from the City of Milwaukee ordinance is that this group had voiced that it did not want the health department responsible for enforcement. It is clear based on what the health department reported to us at the last meeting that there are not standards for how it is enforced, nor are we aware of any other community in the state of Wisconsin who has received a complaint of those municipalities who will pass an ordinance in this regard. So that would be it.
Okay. So with that, I would like to ask my fellow trustees if you had any comments or anything you wanted to add based on that.
I can offer that I connected, since I had remembered that, well, and also in our packet, and it reminded me that we had wanted to make that modification. I just talked to Chief Nimmer about kind of like process-wise how he thought that might look, and it seems like, you know, it would be complaint-based. They would respond to it just like any other call for service. And then most likely it would go to our attorney for consideration of how to proceed, which I'm very comfortable with. And, because I know we wanted to have a very clear definition, and I just don't know that you're ever going to have a clear definition without a state statute or, you know, something to refer to. So I was, that made me feel more comfortable that we just would, being in the position, we would know what to do, we have the resources, it's not, you know, there's no doubt. Just wanted to share that with the committee.
All right. Before I open it up to comments from the floor, did you have anything you wanted to add, Mike?
Are we going to go through the ordinance? What's the process we're going to?
Well, the process that we've outlined was that I'll speak for myself. I'm comfortable with the ordinance, the Milwaukee ordinance, and allowing our attorney discretion to make some minor modifications and bring those back to us to full board in 2 board meetings. It wouldn't be the next board meeting, but the following.
I think in my mind, since we are changing, you know, in the Milwaukee code, it's under Chapter 75 miscellaneous health provisions, and that's not what we're indicating. So I think in the memo it indicated that the next logical step would be to confer with Attorney Bayer, and then he would say where it made sense. That. However, tonight we do have time, so I'm happy to go through it if you would like.
He wants to draft. Tim drafted this.
So I'm hearing consensus that you two are both comfortable, as I am, with allowing the process to play out as stated in the memo here.
He's going to bring it back to the committee?
I think we would bring it back to full board.
Okay.
Not that it's a requirement, but we were asked, and I think it would be a very nice gesture, but again, we have to ensure that we're covering all of our bases here, but it would be a nice thing to have this done before the first weekend in June.
Well, and it's not necessarily meaning that it would be done, it would just be a full board, we can't control how many.
That's certainly true.
Right. And if he has questions, then he would, if he gets to into drafting, he may run into issues that we probably maybe aren't foreseeing here.
Maybe, but he has looked at it.
Oh, okay, all right,
Oh, that's right, he has offered
Yeah.
an opinion,
Okay.
or an overview at least.
Mhm.
all right.
Do you have any procedural or process concerns about going through this, as far as expecting it to come to full board at the next time?
I don't, I accept Attorney Baylor's comments regarding the inability to enforce on a very, on some type of basis will be one that he will question again. However, the city of Milwaukee's ordinance is one, many of the communities who have passed this have the same components. And they specifically will limit it to minors, which has also been in keeping with some of the federal guidance that's been already provided. So I would see the language being the same, with the exception of a few tweaks and where we recommend to place it. So one thing that I could do is if he felt that there were significant enough questions that I'm just not forecasting, I could be in contact with you and advise you that it would come back to committee.
Right.
If that would be something, but if not, I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be okay taking it to full board.
Yeah, because we had a pretty in-depth discussion. We got a lot of information at the front end of this discussion, and then even though it sat, it was not active for a while, I think that we have enough context that I'm comfortable with it. If it was our first time, I would say bring it back to committee, but.
So I can keep you posted.
Okay, sounds good.
Mhm.
I don't want to,
I'm just a little bit early for our other thing, but I don't have anything specific. I would support the ordinance if they just get some full board, so.
all right, thank you. And if anyone would like to say anything, you don't feel pressured, you can move on to the next agenda item, but you're more than welcome to. Just so you guys know, you heard that we all are very supportive.
Right.
Yep, you may. You can state your name.
Yes.
Address if you don't want to show it, that's fine.
Yes, I'm Shelley Gregory. I'm the strategic project coordinator at Forge, which is a transgender anti-violence organization. I was here last week, and just want to thank you for moving the process forward on behalf of others who are here who advocate for and represent individuals who reside in Shorewood and surrounding communities. Appreciate the procedure that you just laid out. I wonder if I could just ask a couple procedural questions as I'm not thoroughly versed in how things operate in Board of Trustees. If the matter comes back and goes immediately to the full board, I forget, is there opportunity for public comment
Yes.
at board meetings?
So there's always opportunity for public comments at full board meetings for items that are on the agenda. And if something is not on the agenda, then you have the opportunity to state the comment.
Great, thank you. And just in terms of, there were some folks last week who raised the issue of an ordinance prohibiting discrimination on the basis of gender identity and gender expression, and from the group out here, and sort of raising the issue of whether it would be appropriate to try to join that kind of ordinance with this ordinance, and very well may not be. I understand that there may be other legislation. I mean, I'm just wondering whether this committee knows anything about that and whether gender identity expression is included.
Okay, and I will say, and I'm happy to answer your question, but normally it's not, but I will answer this. We will keep these separate if we want this to pass sooner than later.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, understood. Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good evening, my name is Geraldine Wendelberger, and I'm at 4543 North Ardmore Avenue. I'm part of the Shorewood Solidarity Network. And just wanted to make a comment that today the U.S. Supreme Court denied certiorari for a challenge to New Jersey, the entire state of New Jersey's ban on conversion therapy for minors and transgender individuals. So that's, at least they're staying out of the fray now, and they're letting states and communities go ahead and pass these things. And so we have an opportunity to join in that and stop this, so. And thank you all too for moving this along, appreciate it.
Thank you, Carolyn, thanks for your work on this all year, work as well. All right, with that, we have to, no, we don't have to make a motion, we're just moving this on to, okay, great, so we will close item 1.
Procedural question. We got minutes of this meeting, committee meeting. Are we approving committee meeting? No?
No, there's just no for reference.
They are posted on the website?
They're just part of the packet as a reference, because they're just notes.
Okay.
The thought being that everything that gets talked about in committee would come to full board. for
Yeah, I'm just
action.
saying they're published in a packet. I'm just, if you have any. I don't have a chance, I was just wondering, procedural for review of the notes, because we may not agree with the notes. I know. Just something for late, I
Yeah,
don't.
that's something that we might cross at some point. And
Yeah,
how that's
I would
worked
think.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, because they look like they're official notes. Once
So
they're
then,
not,
yeah, I
they're
guess
not-
it's with the chair. If
Somebody
somebody disagrees
disagrees
with.
with, yes, it would be the staff liaison that the chair would work with.
Right, I just,
I agree with the notes as stated here, but.
yeah, I do too, I just would procedurally,
I know
I
it
hear
should
what
be
you're
a standing
saying.
agenda item kind of.
this review of the notes, or comments on notes or something, yeah. If we're gonna
Maybe
follow,
items
if we're gonna
for
be
future.
printed and put it out to the public, we gotta have an opportunity to say, oh, that's not what I said, or, yeah.
True.
Okay.
I wonder as a board, would we just make our own rules as a committee or could we?
I think this is an item for future consideration at the end of the
Good.
year. Let's do it, all right? Okay, anything else? Okay, moving on to special event policy, meeting number 2, and as I stated, I guess it wasn't, it was several years ago that we had the first meeting and on the public, on the special event policy. So, Rebecca, I'm gonna let you read this one.
Well, Sarah is here, and she is the staff member, so I am going to allow her to start.
So, for you tonight, kind of the draft idea of what the staff came up with for a special event policy. Obviously, with a few outstanding questions. So part of those questions being, that was we want the board to sit down. Should not, especially events or street closings be limited in general for applicants. Special events, street closings be limited to village-sponsored events. Yes, what qualifies as a village-sponsored event. Should all applicants pay for village services identified as needed? Police, public works, etc. If no, then which applicant should pay for village services identified as needed? Should every applicant be charged a permit fee? Should there be a different amount for nonprofit versus profit? Should Shorewood applicants like the men's club, the seed, the bid, be exempt, and if so, who? So these are questions as we've had special event permits come up before at the board level that these questions kind of keep trickling in. And there's no true definition around them, but as staff we really weren't comfortable making that decision either. So it's definitely open for discussion. Included with the draft policy is also just a set of procedures that as staff we identified, just so that we know the steps to follow through and process the permits. That everybody's kind of getting the same treatment. They're meeting with staff, we're going over the permit, asking questions, things like that. But we wanted you to see from our end what we go through so that looking at the policy as a draft, just understanding those processes. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If there's anything, in the policy that needs to be edited, completely fine. It's really just a starting point.
Great, thank you for that. And so what I would like, since we have just a little over an hour to do this, is from my perspective, I appreciate the hard work that staff has put in, and I don't want to don't want to over edit, but I want to answer the questions that you had. I can say that I say no to most of them, yes, and maybe to the last two, but So I don't know what you guys think, maybe if we go through the questions that staff has first? And see
Yeah, no,
our
I have
comfort level?
questions, but
Okay, and so the first one was limiting the amount of permits issued.
Yes.
Um,
And it's either permits or street closing, you know, because they could be separated, so not everyone holding a permit is also closing the street, so.
Right, and I do have a question before we start. Well, actually, I'm wondering, and I know we're a much smaller municipality, of course, than Milwaukee, our neighbor, but like Milwaukee in a lot of different ways. So if some of these questions have already been answered, or if there's been, okay, I'll look at that question. So regarding the number of permits issued,
I'd say it's up to the board in their review. They can determine at the time how the events we've had as the applicant. It's kind of just part of the review process. If we're getting complaints on the street being closed too much, or there was some. It's pretty hard to set a number of.
right?
Is one of the goals of the policy, after a policy is adopted, would every permit still come to the board for approval? Okay.
Oh, it would?
Yes.
So these are to set guidelines to facilitate the process. And
Correct.
also to allow staff the ability to deny or make recommendations to applicants as they're having no
Okay, from tour. Got it. Okay. So, yeah, that would, it seems like, because it is laid out somewhere that it's given due notice to the applicant that things of consideration that go into it as far as, you know, kind of are you in good standing, like if you show. So for that purpose, I feel like you might have to. I had sent an email asking about, you know, there had been talk about, well, you know, the bus rerouting and, you know, the bus, MCTS might at some point say, no, we're not going to reroute the bus anymore. Is that like a real possibility, or can it be quantified in any way?
I don't have that.
With regards to MCTS, I have not asked them specifically, but what was noted in our staff meeting is that I think the example used was Wisconsin Avenue. They closed Wisconsin and rerouted Wisconsin for a number of different things every year on various dates, and far more than we have. So I don't know if the likelihood of them just saying no would really be a cause. One thing that has come up, however, is the question that gets posed to me a lot is number 3. In terms of village services, you know, in terms of, you know, this time where we're trying to look at our services and say, what's the most important and how should that work? And, you know, are we going to be charging or not charging? That type of direction you should, you know, take into consideration. But I, outside of the cost perspective, setting that aside, from a management perspective, I tend to follow Mike's train of thought, or trustee Monger's train of thought, which is, you know, every event evaluates on its own merit, and then you move from there, because conditions change. And people's behavior, you know, you may have been, you know, permitting something for a long period of time, and something happens, good or bad, and you would reevaluate. So that's the position, that's the benefit of the board. Because really you don't, with all the events that have been put through a special event, they seem fairly major, where, you know, it's only coming to us because you're closing a public right-of-way or a public space, you know, that would otherwise be enjoyed by the public in other ways. So to your question before, if you want to put some type of a minimum criteria, and I've seen communities do, you know, anything less than generating 50 people or something of that nature, could be administratively approved.
Very specific.
That very manageable. Many places do that, but when the numbers get more, at least the ones that I participated in, always been more than 50 people, you know, then that comes to you, because then that is a time or an event that does spark public interest for and against her and all of those criteria.
I think from a staff perspective, so like 1 through 4, staff doesn't really have a view on it. It's more or less that these are the questions that kind of come up to us. One of the big points is that a special event permit would be pulled for any event going on, whether it's closing down Oakland or like the festival at St. Robert. Like, that we know what's going on in the city, in the village from our perspective, instead of like, well, this person pulls one and this person doesn't.
Yeah.
It needs to be consistent from our level, and just coming in as a new employee, it's like, oh, this is going on, did they need to, things like that. So, that's kind of the key point, is just to make a very consistent process and to be able to at least have an understanding of the board's direction on these questions.
And so the policy before us makes that change, that it's consistent?
Yes.
Okay. It didn't jump out.
I don't read the policy. It says as it defines special events, it says a request that closes a public street or the use of public land, like St. Robert's. They don't request to use public land there.
No, but they do come in for like temporary beverage operators.
Yeah, but
So
that's
and
not
it
a
could be
special
things that,
event permit.
yeah, and it's one of those things where do you charge them a fee because it's on, or do they just fill out the permit so we're aware from
Of
a,
the
Right.
special.
It would be like an advisory
correct,
or something.
yeah.
I mean, I can see that as helpful. I wouldn't want anyone to get denied because it's, yeah, it seems like if you're pulling a temporary license or something like that, having the knowledge of what it is around it. And I understand, like, as St. Robert's is like, we all know what that is, you know, but like the seed event.
It's piecing it together.
Yeah,
and
it is really
tough
helpful
part.
understanding the context for new board members and all that, and that seems like it's.
Yeah, okay. I had a question on the definition because
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
we
is
can
one
change,
aspect.
yeah.
I mean, it talks about amusement and entertainment events. I mean, we could have marches, people, are we eliminating the parade permit thing? The whole parade policy?
No, I think that would be incorporated with this, so it would still, like, it's the same permit right now, or the same application, and that's what they would use.
But do we have, there was a parade policy? I'm just wondering if we're blending the two, or, I'm just thinking of like the procession to Atwater on Solidarity. Did they get a permit? Do they? what triggers it?
Typically, I want to say, it's mostly like the homecoming parade that pulls a parade permit, 4th of July.
Right. If there, I've not known anything else to go down the street. There's some marches that go along the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And if they're on the sidewalk, then our policy is they don't have to pull a permit. It's only if it goes to the street and it's either closing down the street or it's in the street.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing from you, Sarah, is a little bit different from what I heard from Rebecca regarding item, well, 3. But let's just go through. So item number 1, I'm in agreement with both of you that we let it play out, that setting an arbitrary number just doesn't make sense. And that, like anything, these are living, we could always change it all if needed.
I agree with that.
Number 2, should special event street closing be limited to village-sponsored events? If yes, what qualify? I mean, I don't think they should be, so I wouldn't need to answer the second part of it.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
Okay.
I think I have some, like, I made a note. Okay.
All right, we can come back to it.
Yeah, come back. I'll read it all at one time.
And the third item, I imagine is probably, that you both mentioned, very important here, that should all applicants pay for village services if defined as a need, such as police, public works, etc., and if no, which. So, fill us in. I don't know how you handled all of these.
So right now, like tonight, in the board packet is 2 special event permits. One for the withdrawal criterion from the bid, which in there has what the costs are, so be asked to be waived, those costs to be waived and picked up by the village because it's been a village event. The next one is a soccer tournament for closing down the street. If they would require anything because it's a private entity, it's one of the, do we you know, they're not, the bid's not doing it, 3 Lions is doing it, do we charge 3 Lions because it would be using?
And we did last time, right?
We did, yeah, but there's no, you know, like parameters around that, or we just want to make sure there's
Sure.
like consistency, so.
And I think that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Kim, would you mind if I?
No, please.
So one of the things that we talked about from a staff perspective is that we don't want to be in a position of choosing.
Right, right.
I don't also want to promote preference or adversity between groups.
Yeah, right.
You know, the department heads have voiced, you know, while the events are, you know, they have a benefit for Shorewood, you know, and there's something really positive about it, but they do provide a significant amount of assistance. So not many other things are getting done while they're doing some of these big events. And so from a resource perspective, the department head concern becomes, well, if this is to be accommodated for within my budget, but yet I'm getting trimmed every year on trying to get leaner in my budget with essential services, there has to be some level of understanding. Or at least just some clear, you know, they're happy to serve at the board's pleasure. But having that clear understanding so that when they are doing these things, it doesn't negatively impact them when in the course of budgetary review or an understanding of why were costs, you know, ahead in this quarter, or what was that specific impact. And that's something that Mark goes back and he looks and he analyzes, well, where did that overtime cost come in, or how did that work? For, you know, and I'll use police presence as an example. You know, for some of the events really to do them, it's overtime assistance coming in, which is just, it drives up costs pretty quickly. So that's just one thing that I know that as department heads, they want to be executing what you want and desire, you know. But if it's something that you're looking to accommodate within the scope of the budget, then they want that to be understood. And then let's keep in mind that functionally on the other side, when we look at service delivery, they will always shift. If we were in an emergency for some situation, utility, they will always go with priority. For the PD, it'll be life safety, health, welfare. And that won't include setting something up. You know, so that's always kind of like a norm, I guess, that's out there. For public works, the same thing. If we have some, I'm not even gonna say it, because if I say it,
right. Understandable, that would trump it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I would very much be appreciative of having that discussion with the board. Since I have been here, it is every time we have a special event permit come up, department heads look at me and they say, well, are we supposed to be providing this, or am I supposed to be providing the cost?
Yep.
And so I definitely had an understanding that may have been handled in different ways. And I would like to just provide some uniformity, really at your direction, you know, so that I'm also not sending a mixed message.
Well, and it's also difficult having those discuss, like the applicants sitting there and we're like, we might charge you. You know, and we can't give them a clear definition of what that looks like.
But since I have been here, it's been pretty consistent, which is if you're not a village-sponsored event, we're charging. Now that I will tell you has been a topic of great discussion at staff meetings. I'm so appreciative of the department heads that we have. This is one of those topics that will take them talking for a while. Because it does cause more of an adversarial environment in terms of what is village-sponsored and not. For the department heads, and it may for you, I'm not sure. You'll be the judge of that. You know, Sarah and I have also worked in communities where everyone pays. And, you know, she has shared through those discussions that it's the only way to keep it fair, you know. That may or may not be how you decide to pursue, but there is a significant level. I think there was consensus at the end from the staff department, you know, after they talked through it for a while, which is, yeah, I mean, if everyone isn't held to the same standard, then you will have to go through a list of what is something that you sponsor or not. So it's really, just keep that in mind as we go through it. Because if it isn't for village-sponsored events, then we're going to want you to provide us with some direction on what does that really include. And so, and I just want to make sure, because if anything, we just want to be on the same page. We don't really have a preference, but.
Question, in terms of, since we have such a lean staff, it's not like we have a floater that can pick up extra, you know, when there's events. So even if we had, even if we charged for everything, it wouldn't create more staff capacity, right? It would just, it wouldn't even decrease, it wouldn't even cover, well, it would cover overtime. So it basically would cover the fiscal impact of the same staff doing it.
Correct. Fiscal impact of the resource, not the resources.
Right.
And for different events, that will vary.
Oh,
You know,
exactly.
So it depends on the event, you know.
Yep.
If there's one event, you know, we reserve cones for, or there's another, you know. It will specifically address the overtime issue every time. And I know that for some people, that's a bigger impact than that. But
Well, I think we have to try to be as fair to all involved, and I would say this would be one where I would personally prefer not to charge for the village-sponsored events, but I understand the complications that presents as far as determining which are village-sponsored and not.
Yeah. So tricky.
I would say we could perhaps, well, I would still prefer not to charge for those, but if we were to, I would say if we could charge at the rate not at the overtime rate, and then say all private events are, we're just assuming that it's overtime for hours per staff. But I don't know if that's.
Oh, yeah.
So if it, so if we charged ourselves for the 4th of July parade, for instance, that would be a line item, and it would come from tax levy, basically.
okay, so in that particular one, I've never seen a municipality charge themselves. So we're not, because we've acknowledged this over the last few years, or at least this is the record of discussion that not only happens in your community, but any other community. We as a municipality are inherently in the event business. Because when we look at our primary core services, we fight fires, we protect the public, we provide water, we make sure toilets flush, stuff like that. I mean, that's like where the bread and butter. In many communities, they have that one event, which is July 4th. They've never seen
Anything else?
unless you have. They've never seen a community say, I'm going to charge myself for doing that.
No, and any other events were like hosted by like celebration committees or whatever.
Yeah, I've never seen it where the municipality charges itself, but anyone who is not the municipality, meaning a part of our corporation, I guess I've had to describe what is village, and that's what, so in my mind, that's what is village. Anyone outside of that, that's where the discretion comes in. And some communities do, they say, these specific groups, we don't want to charge. But every year, I can tell you, I've always kept those meeting minutes of however that gets formalized, because it's a question I would get asked every year.
Right.
And at some point,
Keep it at the front
challenge.
desk.
Yeah, or that, I share up front with new board members, because they get asked the same question, and inevitably, about every 3 years or so, someone comes back to challenge it, and then that board has that discussion. And that's also okay, but we just want you to know what to expect.
So we're all aware that 2019 we passed a really lean budget and had to cut some, what I would consider some core services to a point where I'm not even comfortable. So it's hard to do that, and then
It's part of the cost of putting on the event. I mean, particularly if there's businesses that are making a profit as a component of the business, of the event.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's.
I have always, when it first got introduced as a concern, because we have been talking about this for a few years, I was of the mindset of, then we just need to have a cost, we need to just transfer the cost of putting on an event to whoever's putting on the event. And I was kind of of the mind, I was of the mindset of, yeah, it has to be done uniformly. And I guess you know, I can say, you know, in my mind, I was thinking about like, well, you're taxing people over again or whatever, but I do think it just does make sense to apply it across the board. So it would be, basically, it would be the 4th of July parade. Is that the only thing that the village?
Right now, it's the only thing that we provide event management for. You actually pay a consultant to do it for you because we don't have anyone here to do it.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that was the only thing that stuck out. I've never, like, that was like new.
Concert series.
That is done by the high school, or the recreation director, part of, it's part of that same entity.
Is BID part of us, or is BID
No.
It is a separate.
separate corporation?
Yeah, it's a separate tax entity.
Okay,
And the school is a separate tax entity.
okay.
That's true. Yeah, so, right, that's why I kind of mentioned, I was like, oh, I've been pretty clear with people in terms of what I think of as village.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize in terms of having that conversation that inherently being in this business, you just get, you understand that you're all separate municipal entities, so
Right.
you're different,
Okay.
you know, and so
Well,
that is something
in
that.
an area that I'm not really comfortable passing on the same level of.
Right.
I know.
And so that's why I'm not
School
saying
district.
for or against, but that's why I was also clarifying, when I say village, I'm speaking of our corporate entity.
Right.
If you want to do something, and you can,
Mm-hmm.
so this is why we're here talking about the policy. But I'm also the same person who's saying, I just want to be on the same page.
Exactly. Because it would mean Shorewood Men's Club is not
Correct.
village. It would mean concert series not village.
That's also not, right now it's not village.
Right.
I don't know.
But it's Shorewood marketing. Well, you know what?
They assist in designing maybe a poster, I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Well, it's been very murky in the past, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would mean the bid is not part, school's not part, what else?
Could I just,
Three Lions wouldn't be part, block parties wouldn't be part.
if it would be all right, I can interrupt for a moment and allow.
Is that okay if I
Rep.
make a few comments?
And before you do that, I did, in my mind, I was thinking, like I wrote down, any taxing body within the village of Shorewood would be exempt since it's the same tax base. If it's a Shorewood-based nonprofit, where residents benefit from the proceeds, if it's a fundraiser, charge 50%. And a private entity or business where profit gain is anticipated would be 100%. So that's what I put down, but that's also, so I just wanted to be transparent that I had thought about that.
And I would even be comfortable saying, if it's a fundraiser, you pay, you know, if you are successful in realizing these funds, that you pay this amount, and then you get beyond. But if you don't clear this, then you don't owe the village. What I mean by that is the same, like the school district or others that are putting on fundraisers, well, maybe not the school district.
How would you determine, I mean, you have to get in the books and determine.
Yeah,
That's
if
true.
they're-
I like the idea of it, but
It's
just the
constant.
fact of
Sure.
actually administrating it sounds
Certainly.
really
Okay.
complicated.
In the past, the board has, there's a fee, and the board then makes a conscious action to waive the fee for the event.
That's right.
So there is
we
a
never-
standard fee, and then we
But it
waived it in.
Okay, but it doesn't include staff time.
Right.
That's where it came in.
Right.
Is that the fee was
Permit
not
fee.
reflective of all the overtime staff incurred costs.
And we could
I see what you're.
calculate it, and then
We
we
could
waive
calculate
it.
and,
And that would be our contribution. I mean, like the criterion,
Yep.
we could calculate it, and then the board can say, this is an event, we will waive the fee or waive but it's it's an actual action that we are making a conscious effort, a contribution to the event.
Sure. That's what
Otherwise
I'm
you
saying. So the
pay.
policy could be to charge, and then the board action could be to waive the
Waive,
fee.
If
the
they
waiver
desire to waive.
provision.
And any applicant would be notified that there's no guarantee that this fee will be waived, but
It does encourage a court-like setting for our board meetings.
yes.
You know? Which,
That's true.
Well, you said you look like, yeah.
yeah. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make the bid wait, Erica.
This is a great discussion. Yeah, I received the policy this morning, so I'm trying to absorb everything that's in, because it's a lot of great work Sarah did, Diane did. So I just have some fragmented thoughts as you were all talking. You know, bids put on events and chambers and bids, they're kind of seen like a tourism entity in itself because they're there to attract people into a district. So there's definitely economic benefits from events. I think we can all agree on that. And I'm hoping that maybe you kind of said it, that maybe there should be a third kind of tier, village versus non-village, because the bid, the schools, we're seen as partners.
I know.
These are tax bodies
We're all
with
paid on the same box.
Yeah, and I think we realize that the bike race is, the bid puts it on behalf of the community, you know, so it's kind of a dual partnership in it, even though we operate it and administer it. So I like that you brought up that path. I think I'm asking that you have at least 2 more meetings beyond this before it goes to a full vote, because I think there's some scenarios that the bid needs to play out, because, you know, there's been a lot of changes, and the bid wasn't in the event business previous to me really coming here. And we're looking to add that as part of something we do. So to really get the bid input and the business's input as well. There's some language in the policy I'm a little concerned about, and policies, personally, I think should be guidelines. They should not be so descriptive. Like the timing that was in there, like no event should go past 10 p.m. on a Friday, Saturday, and then let earlier in the evening. Well, we might have to deny the bike race because it goes to almost 8:30. It goes to 8:30. The race, the last race ends on Thursday night. So that's too descriptive for me. And to have an internal policy on complaints, because
Yes, I hear you.
I can see that go awry. Some of the comments you made that, about what you're in the business, what we're not going to do, and what we should be doing as a village, looking at these applications. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but there's so much to think about.
Yeah, there is a lot to think about.
Yeah.
You know, and even though we have some traditional events, we're growing them and recreating them in different ways. And I know that weight would be given to the ones that have been here before. So yeah, just, we're going to have our first discussion at the bid board meeting. I did get an email out to business owners that have had events in the streets, and then I got out to the whole community with your memo and stuff, and all the businesses.
Thank you.
And so maybe some people will come, but if I could just ensure that all of a sudden at the first May meeting that this isn't going to go forward.
No, and it's up to this group, because it stays at this group until they take it forward.
Yeah.
But that would give me such good peace of mind, because every time we sit down and we internally, we've probably gone, I know I have read over 6 different drafts of this coming through, you know, and every time we come back to it, and particularly, and this again, it's a credit to the department heads. Every time we sit down, I'm always thinking, oh, okay, this isn't going to be that much discussion this time. No, there's something that always also comes up, so I can't imagine what processes through your minds and through your mind as the organization. Because as you said, the bid, it has changed, and the events do spur other types of economic development, things that are very beneficial from creating a sense of place and space within the community that we have. I mean, you're talking to someone who I really enjoy it. You know, that's one of the benefits to me of living close to Oakland. And it's something that is exciting to me about the area. And then, you know, but you know, how do we wrestle with that in the new norm that we're trying to find? You know, and I'm not sure what that is, but I want to let you know that everyone here, well, I'll speak for myself, that I am appreciative of what you do. And it is not easy doing those things that come about in the public way. So I don't know about this group, but I think that that's very reasonable. I don't think we're gonna get past it in 2 meetings.
No, but, and also just to dovetail on that a lot, and I agree with you that I think that we are almost a little bit too onerous, but part of that is it always comes to board and then we get in the weeds. And so we're trying to facilitate, at least I'll speak for myself, I would like to facilitate things getting passed quicker so they don't die in committee. We don't have these kind of discussions each time. So I hear what you're saying about the noise, I would like to be less restrictive, but I also can't control the other players.
And I'm also concerned about things that accompany event permits. I have a feeling that our event application will be pulled off the consent tonight because of the beer tent. So that level of minutia, getting into events, I don't know if this should address a policy. I'm just planting the seed.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point.
One item, I think would you mind if I ask this question to Erica now? Just because this is one thing that was put into the policy later on, and I know it come up based upon the experience we had in this last year, where we were approached by another group on the closing of Oakland for a very long period of time, like a whole weekend, for their event, and we had asked the bid to weigh in. And right now, within the scope of the policy, it says something to the effect of, the bid's going to be asked to provide a recommendation on any other special events that aren't done by the bid. When I was kind of going back to reread that, I was like, oh, I don't know if that really makes sense.
No.
Because...
And we haven't supplied that yet either.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, in concept, do you also see where that may not...
Yes.
Because I'm like, well, what if the seed run?
Right.
So why would they want to review?
I agree.
So maybe there's some different wording, because I do feel if it is within your district, that it's always good to have people know. And more importantly, I wouldn't want a permit coming without you guys kind of knowing about it if it impacted the district in some way. But just think about how you may want to engage in that process. I'd be interested in the bid board's feedback for that. What's a collaborative way to do that?
So the bid board is meeting this Wednesday, correct? And this is one of the items.
We're going to be discussing the policy.
That would be great, because we would love to have the feedback.
And I'm encouraging the businesses to attend and to get their input, so I can put it in a cumulative list.
And Sarah will also be attending that meeting. So, Sarah.
So this is something to ask of you, because, so you meet monthly, but do you get the opportunity to meet more than, you guys do special meetings as well?
We have.
My guess is that this is going to be not just.
Maybe we should hold on just for this, once we get a little bit further along.
It's up to you, but.
Yeah, the regular.
And that's not my business, you guys don't even
I'm trying
work
to
at
figure
it.
out, we have a street festival ordinance and we have a parade ordinance. Then we got this what, are we proposing to eliminate the ordinance? Are we going to modify the ordinances? Are we blending them?
Once you develop a policy, we'd then review the ordinances, but I'm not quite sure why you would want a separate parade permit from a special event permit. If your special event permit is defined as only those things within the public way. Now, clearly you heard from the clerk that she would maybe like to have it encompassing things on private property. That can sometimes get tough. I just don't know.
I would have a problem if we're trying to regulate somebody's use on private.
Yeah, I don't think
something
that
like a
really.
graduation party with 100 people
Right.
on a Lake Drive property.